Are you struggling for consistency in your sim racing? Does your iRating look like a roller coaster? If so, we have good news for you. The way to get more consistent is to first understand what you're doing differently than the professionals. And VRS is the answer. With our competitive subscription, you will have the telemetry, setups, tutorials, and everything else you need to fully analyze your driving. Our data packs and the ability to compare your driving with the best in the world will show you exactly where to adjust your inputs, change your driving line, and shave seconds off of your lap times. And our powerful and precise Direct Force Pro wheelbase and precision pedals are being used by some of the world's best drivers. All these champions agree that VRS hardware is not just the best on the market, it's also priced well below the competition. So if you're looking to upgrade to direct drive and the best pedals in sim racing, VRS is your answer. If you want to get better, get faster, and make it happen sooner rather than later, you owe it to yourself to find out why so many people are switching to VRS. You'll be so glad that you did. Visit www.virtualracingschool.com and learn why the best use VRS.
As we lock into the last two rounds of the season in the ARL GT3 Trophy Series, we find ourselves on a North American swing, and we start things off here in the penultimate round at the U.S. National Park of Speed. That's right, Road America, this fast and fearsome circuit, ready to challenge these drivers here today, and we will start off in the C format with the two 30-minute races. And Andy, this is going to be an absolutely fantastic way to be able to get this last part of the championship round ready to go.
Yeah, it certainly is in the last two rounds here, and having two 30-minute sprint races around, probably one of the most open tracks on iRacing, so I expect to see lots of passive maneuvers certainly coming down into turn number one. But let's have a quick look around the track as we give our viewers a little bit of a view of the track itself. So Road America, 4.04 miles long, 14 turns. Turn one is a very good turn, very good track to make a good start to the lap. A swinging left-hand track, extremely fast, third gear, clipping the corner on the inside, getting a really good exit down to turn number two, coming into three. Three is quite a tricky corner, but you need to get it right to get a really good run out down the Moran straight to the very tricky turn number five. One of them satisfying corners on iRacing, really far to the right-hand side of the track. Swing into the corner and use the maximum road on the outside. Quite a long run off. Up to turn number six, very tricky left-hander, quite blind, but luckily there's a bridge there. Then coming through turn number seven, down through the hurry downs, extremely fast third gear, right-hand corner. So you'll see some brave people trying to maximize the throttle down there, coming down into the carousel section. Turn 8, very tricky second gear corner before coming out into turn 9, the start of the carousel. So you really got to judge your point, and we'll see plenty of different lines coming through this part of the track. Before we start on the very fast back section of the track through turn number 11, the kink on the way down through turn 11's A and B to probably one of the most famous corners on this track, Canada Corner, and expect to see a lot of action with cars trying to do the undercut here, but we'll also probably see a lot of cars into the kitty litter on the outside before we come down through turn 12, 13, 13A, very fast uphill section. And as our producer Jamie said, one of the most satisfying corners on this track, turn 14. If you get that right, it puts you in a good stead for the extremely long start start finish straight uphill towards turn number 1 again. 4.04 miles, 14 corners, and some extremely satisfying corners to take as well, DJ.
Yeah, it certainly is, and one of the most iconic and picturesque circuits in all of North America, it has to be said. But as we said a little bit earlier, this is the penultimate round in the championship, so let's go ahead and run you through those championship standings. There you can see Christoph Herbino at the top of the charts, just over Niels-Erik Isaacson, but we have a little bit of intrigue here in that series. Christoph Herbino has been given a pit lane start here today, and that means that 36 or so point advantage could be erased if Isaacson has a good race. Winkler also there looking in, and a good little battle starting to shape itself up for the final podium positions there between Fletcher and Dadswell. Don't count out Ketiel Larson as well, pretty close there as they close in. Let's take a look down into the Pro-Am standings, a little bit more spread out there up at the top. Jacob Behrens, who has been pretty dominant over the course of the season, 90-odd points ahead, but it doesn't look like Jacob is here tonight, so that gap may find itself shrinking down a little bit as Martin Deckens tries to close in. A little bit of a battle starting to maybe shape itself up for third place, but a very, very fiercely contested battle for fifth between Regenwetter, Hugenhout, and Collishaw, and also Lasse Sorensen may be able to get in there as well. Back down in the AM standings, Christopher Otterholt does lead the way by about 100 points or so over Russ Fowler, Luke Pint there as well, David Gill, and Sean Cranley-Schwa rounding out your running order there for them. Let's go ahead and take a look over at the team's championship as well, and it has been an absolute dominant season for the IGL Coatings E-Racing team there. Larson, Isaacson, and Behrens just really putting down the thunder, leading over Core Racing Sim Legacy. Could see a little bit of a battle maybe starting to develop between Core Sim Racing Legacy and Altitude Esports. Hardpoint by Delta Sport, a little bit surprising to see them down in fourth, and then Track Scotland there in fifth, but they've got to be a little bit careful because WS Racing Esports will be coming up there in sixth. But that is the championship order, and we are out currently on track right now for a 10-minute qualifying session. And Andy, as we said before, this is going to set the grid here for heat number 1 for the first race of the session, and then we're going to have an invert of the top 8 for the second 30-minute race on the day.
Yeah, certainly is. And one of probably the biggest news is Herbinu obviously starting from the back of the grid here in race 1, and obviously just to add to his woes as well, obviously the grid position on track road is based on your qualifying position, so he'll be starting from the pit lane from the back of the pits, and as we all know, you know, starting from the pit lane here at Road America, straight away you're going to lose around about 2 or 3 seconds because the cars are thundering up that start finish straight coming into the first corner. So he's really got a lot of work to do, and this is Isaacson's probably best chance as we see him at the top of the grid at the moment in qualifying in P1 with a 2:02.640, 100ths of a second faster than Fletcher. It's going to be his prime opportunity to try and close that gap at the top of the pro standings, and Herbinu's going to have a bit of a tall order as well because it's only the top 8 that get inverted, so really needs to make inroads into this first race. Needs to be cool and calm, certainly on the first lap, otherwise he may find himself at the back of the grid and making that championship in the pro standings, which would be good for us and the viewers, go all the way to the last round. But yeah, it's going to be an interesting race. 2 30-minute races round here. There's going to be loads of action, DJ.
Yeah, there certainly is, as it seems like just about every portion of this circuit does provide an opportunity to overtake, an opportunity for battle. We watch here Rickard Boberg coming across the line there in the 204. That's going to be good enough for 27th place overall. The Pro-Am Privateer bringing that Porsche number 204 around the circuit right now, down through turn 1. And I've got to be wondering here just a little bit if some of these drivers are maybe trying to get the timing exactly right on their laps, because the slipstream very, very effective around here, and if you're able to tuck up behind another car, going down the start-finish straightaway, going down the Marine sweep, and even pass through the kink and into Canada corner, it's probably going to save you at least a couple of tenths of a second on the lap.
Yeah, 100%. The slipstream around here is exceptionally strong. Certainly coming up that start-finish, coming out of turn 14, if you can tuck yourself up for your fast lap behind the car in front of you, there's easily 3 tenths up the start-finish straight that you're going to gain on your lap time. Obviously, the downside to that is if the front car does have a spin in front of you, it could compromise your lap. And the other thing is it's a long lap, 2 minutes, 2 seconds. You can see there as the top down going all the way down. So around about 2:04 for the AM drivers would be the probably target. But Tarowski at the moment has done a blinder in the AM Championship, only 0.97 seconds off that leader of Isaacson at the front, and currently in P13th. I mean, his nearest rival, Christian Engelhardt, and we talked about him before the stream, extremely good on the qualifying session, but he's still 1.6 seconds off the leader pace, so a blinding lap there from Jarosky. The other thing is with this track is them pesky little off tracks. You get one round here, you've got to go around the whole of the track before you can start another lap. So it's limited laps already on this Road America circuit in 10 minutes, so you really don't want to be losing one for them pesky little off tracks.
Yeah, indeed. This is one of the longest circuits in all of North America. There, as we see Taroxoy pulling off to the side, now focusing back on Carl Winkler in the Audi. Currently 20th place. His teammate Ronald Grossman up there in 11th. The Audis around here trying to be able to generate some speed as they go, although it does look like it is a pretty clear domination up at the top of the field from the Mercedes and the BMWs. That straight line speed out of those two German marques really and truly coming out to play here today. We watch, though, as Winkler brings his way down through the kink, a very, very fearsome corner, taken pretty much flat out in these GT3 cars, but if you get that corner just even millimeters wrong, it can absolutely spell disaster.
Yeah, it certainly can. And just looking at the other pit lane starters we got here tonight, one of the other noticeable names that are in that list is Russ Fowler, currently second in that AM Championship, and really needed to make sure that he could get in amongst the grid, because his main championship rival Otterholt is again not here, and already not visiting 2 rounds here. He's got 2 0 scores to his name, so he would have scored a 0 for this round, giving an ideal opportunity for Russ Fowler. So Russ has really got to make sure that he tries to maximise that effect and close that gap in the AM Championship. So two top contenders at the moment, Herbenu and in the pros, and Russ Fowler there in the AMs. Really got some work to do here in the first 30-minute race.
Yeah, certainly has some work to do, and one driver who doesn't have it all to do is Thomas Cope, starting off in 6th position there as the checkered flag flies for qualifying here in Road America. And let's go ahead and run you through that starting grid. It is going to be Nils-Erik Isaacson doing exactly what he needs to do, qualifying on pole position to try to be able to minimize that gap between himself and Christoph Herbeno. Mark Fletcher is going to line up P2, followed by Tom Dadswell and Kamon Sapini, then Matthew Crisp and Thomas Cope in row 3 behind them. Martin Deckens will be the first of the Pro-Am drivers, followed by Robin Glarum, with Jacob Behrens and Mike Paluch rounding out your top 10. Lasse Sorensen will be 11th, with Ketio Larson down in 12th. Behind them, it looks like it's going to be Ronald Grossman and Greg Hubler. Carl Winkler starts 15th, followed by your first AM driver, Abelis Taruxoy. Then it'll be Chris Danes and Kieran Smart. Lucas Lang and Stuart Wyness round out your top 10, with PJ Claessens and Martin Pencava back in 21st and 22nd. Gavin Gardner will be 23rd, and Christian Engelhardt there, the second of your Pro-Am drivers, or AM drivers. We get back down into the meat of the AM field here with Gordon Haug and David Gill, Chris Rance and Dominic Smerrick there in 27th and 28th, Boberg and Jazz, followed by some of your pit lane starters here, Herbeno, Scarrett, Thrain, Regenwetter, Collishaw, Fowler, Nuremberg, Cranley Schwa, and Sire, rounding out your 39 car field. A big entry list here around a big track, just waiting for the final drivers to get ready here to get onto the grid. A short pace lap around here, thankfully, as it does take a very long time to get around here under yellow.
It certainly does. You just hate it in the official iRacing series. Got to do a whole outlap on this Road America. Look at these drivers. Don't have to do that. Just have to tackle turn number 14 and then in. But it'd be interesting to see just how far back in that pit lane these pit lane starters have to be to just show the ground that they have to make up in that getting back out on track. You know, not only losing a lot of time for all the cars to go past going at maximum speed, but then they have to traverse that extremely long. It's probably probably one of the longest pit lanes in iRacing at the moment, so losing even more time, so which makes their task a lot more difficult, I think, DJ.
Yeah, it certainly does, as the iRacing pace car takes off just out of Bill Mitchell Bend, and Niels-Erik Isaacson will lead the field to green here, coming through the last couple of corners at this historic Wisconsin circuit. Through the last corner right now, as they look up the fearsome hill, the pace car pulls off down to pit lane, and already Isaacson is on the loud pedal as there goes the green, and we begin racing in Road America. Isaacson doing a little bit of weaving, it has to be said, as he tries to break that draft there from Fletcher. The two BMW teammates, though, of Tom Dadswell, looking like they're playing a little bit of games behind Sapini and Crisp, going to be going side by side down into turn 1. Drivers were warned about trying to go 3 wide. Little bit of close running there with Jacob Behrens and Raman Glarum, as Glarum looks like he's going to be down into the inside there, going down into the braking zone for turn 3.
Yeah, it definitely is. I mean, Jacob Behrens just slipped in there. We didn't see him earlier on in the race, but managing to make the start of this race. Second there in the Pro-Ams at the moment. But the top 4 staying the same. Thomas Cope managing to clip Matthew Crisp coming down here to the Moran Straight through to turn number 5 for the very first time. You see alternate lines there trying to go on the inside, some coming around the outside. Certainly when the cars all sort themselves out, we should see them, as we're seeing in the background there, literally taking that corner right on the outside of the curb.
And that was some contact there in the back, and I believe that's Alexander Scarrett that has been spun around down into turn 5. The IGL Coatings e-racing driver spinning that car around. We focus here on Christophe Herbino, and just as you said, Andy, look at how much ground the Belgian driver has to make up here going down into turn 5, starting off 34th, and he's got a lot of room to do. Here's Christian Engelhardt, one of your AM drivers, trying to close in on Chris Rance as they make their way through the carousel for the first time. You've got to be a little bit careful around this area. Try to get a little bit of clean air on the front nose of this car, as the air wash is very, very real around that high-speed corner.
Yeah, this is one of them very tricky tracks, isn't it? You want to get the low downforce for the long straightaways that we've got in this track, but then you need a little bit of downforce for this bit of a tricky section coming around the back end. You need to have that downforce to maximise the speed over the very fast, certainly around the carousel, like you were saying. But they're going through Canada corner for the first time, managing to keep it clean. They normally see a lot of incidents on the first lap, considering the tyres will be relatively still cold now, but certainly getting back up to temperature. But we can see there the top 4 at the moment, getting a little bit of gap over Crisp and Thomas Cope there in that Mercedes. Usually see him in the Lambo, but switched over in the last round, making quite light work there of Crisp. And we saw that last time out in Suzuka. Matthew Crisp didn't really have that car set up for a straight line speed, and it certainly looks here tonight that it's the same effect.
Yeah, it certainly does. A little bit of side-by-side through turn 1. I believe that is going to be Rance and Engelhardt, and that's going to be the Mercedes of Diaz trying to see what he can do there. A little bit of an opportunistic move there from Chris Rance, trying to be able to get that Mercedes and that Porsche together. They're going to go into a single-file line here. The Delta V racing driver of Thomas Yaz, the Frenchman, trying to see what he's able to do. He's got a fellow Porsche driver behind him of Dominic Smerek as they plunge through the Moraine sweep right now. Going to be boxed in there a little bit by Yaz as they come down into the corner, as the two Porsches duel it out down through turn 5, kicking up a little bit of dust there on the exit of the corner, just trying to maximize that momentum around the outside.
Yeah, you really don't want to be going side by side up through turn number 6. Really compromises your speed, as we see 2 of them do it, and that's exactly why you don't want to do it. Sean Cranley Swash getting pushed out onto the exit in turn number 6, and if you hit that grass there, it's absolutely treacherous. It's like a bit of ice, it's got to be, because as soon as you touch that, we just saw there, Cranley Swash literally getting it completely wrong, compromising the speed all the way down here, and Rickard Boberg just being able to nip his heels as well to move up into 31st position. So yeah, turn number 6 is not ideal to go side by side with on this track.
No, it is not. In another area you don't want to go side by side is right there, as that's a big off for one of the Audis. It is. It's David Gill for Fast and Fuelless. A massive amount of contact coming through the kink.
Wow, okay, he came through the kink, going extremely fast. Let's just have a look here if he got clipped from behind or just literally hit the grass on the exit. Coming around the corner, taking all that curb on the left. Literally just lost it on his own, going too fast. And wow, that car is absolutely toast. There was absolutely no wonder why he actually returned to the pit lane there. So that is disastrous there for David Gill, who's currently was trying for that third place overall in the AM Championship and won't put pay to his race results here in race number 1, and we'll put him pretty much down the back of the field. And Christopher Wegenwet is having an issue there, probably our first victim of Canada Corner.
Yeah, I'm not sure if that was an off or a slowdown there for Regenwetter. Let's ride on board with the low grip racing driver here. Let's see what exactly happened down into the corner. Did he catch the kitty litter? Yes, he did. Contact there to the front end of that BMW, and that is the danger. There is that wide, flat rumble strip area that you can take a lot of momentum to the outside, but if you just toe over that line, that kitty litter will catch you and spit you right back out.
Yeah, and Russell had a little bit of a scary moment there, just managing to get through there unscathed. But so many times you see innocent bystanding cars get hit around that corner there. But starting here, looking at Carl Winkler, currently in P12, so we've got a few positions to make up. He'll be really eyeing up that reverse grid position of P8, which is currently being occupied by Berens, our top Pro-Am driver. So there's a real good battle on the Pro-Ams between Deckens, who is second in the championship, and Berens, who is currently leading that by pretty much a country mile at the moment there. But so Gaucho and Pawlich, Larsons and Winkler are all going to have a hard task trying to get past Berens for that reverse grid pole for race number 2.
Yes, they are side by side there with Crisp and Deckens, and that's going to be Crisp getting a set around through Canada Corner. Another driver getting caught out by that, and it looks like he's going to have to actually deliberately go off into the kitty litter to avoid an unsafe rejoin. The 118 waiting there for Collishaw and Rance to be able to work their way on through, and he is doing the sportsman thing here to let everybody else on by, but a very, very tricky area to fall off on. Still not the best of rejoins there, I've got to say, as he came out right in front of Smerrick and Scarrett.
Yeah, it definitely was. I mean, you can just see the effect of spinning around that Canada corner. Yeah, you've got to try and take it as fast as you can, but being a little bit cautious is probably the best way of taking that. And I think Glermer's pretty much needs to maybe change his underwear, because you can literally see that literally just scrapes down the side of his car of Robin Guerin of the hard bought by Delta Sport team there. Nearly got caught up in there, but you just saw how many places he lost there by trying to wait for a position, because he had to turn his car around on Canada Corner. But it's not an ideal place around this track to go off, certainly when the start of the race and the cars are all as compact as they are.
Yes, as we ride on board here with PJ Claessens, the fiercely forward driver, following behind his teammate there of Martin Pencava up through turn 6. And we mentioned just how tricky this corner is a little bit earlier here, Andy, but a completely blind apex on the corner, and it suddenly flattens out coming through there. So you've got to be very, very cautious on the loud pedal to get back going and onto throttle.
You certainly do. I mean, I think the lucky bit of that corner is you got the bridge as you go up the hill, which is the ideal braking marker for that corner. So at least they get the spotter at the bridge. If that wasn't there, that would be an extremely treacherous corner for these drivers to try and turn around there. So probably a little bit fortunate they do have that bridge. Maybe why it's put there. But we're seeing the cars here come around the kink using all the track available. Some drivers even going onto the grass, sort of dicing with death a little bit there, because we've seen how easy it is. The car just spits yourself out. Oh, as we see an issue here coming down out of the carousel, coming down into the kink, and that is involving Matthew Crisp again. So 2 laps in a row, he has been involved in a few incidents here, and I'm pretty sure DJ will get a replay of exactly what happened there, but it involved about 4 or 5 cars.
Yeah, it looked like they're one of the IGL E-Coatings machines, as well as a Porsche. Oh, I can see that one coming. Just a little bit of a clip. You can't go 3 wide. A little bit of pinball there being played, unfortunately, and everybody getting spit back out there. Christoph Herbino able to pick the pocket there and go through a couple of positions. That's going to be good for your championship leader, but not good for those other cars involved, to be sure. Herbino now finds himself up 4 positions and into 27th. He's he's finally going to have some other cars around him to try to work his way through the field.
Yeah, it is, but it's been a hard day at the office at the moment for Herbin, who currently, like you said, in P27th overall. Normally used to seeing him in the top 3 battling over that race win, so it's a really hard day in this first race starting from that pit lane. And we just saw, like we said, how far back they actually come out of there. The rest of the field had gone through turn number 5 and they were halfway down coming into the Moran Straight, and it was... yeah, it's amazing that he's got at this, but I think he's been fortunately helped by a few incidents by other drivers.
Yeah, I think he has as well. We watch here as Kieran Smart trying to make a little bit of a move on Ballast Teroxoid there, going down into turn 8. He is followed by his Track Scotland teammate of Stuart Wyness. A little bit surprising to see these two Track Scotland drivers this far down in the field, but there you can see exactly what I was talking about a little bit earlier. Smart trying to take a wider line through the carousel, keep some clean air on the front end of that BMW to maximize his speed, but it didn't quite look like it played out for him. The gap at about, let's call it 3-4 car lengths as they dive down into Canada corner here. He's going to be too far back to really make a good assault on the AM driver, your AM leader, actually, right up ahead of him.
Yeah, Teroxoid is having a great race here. His nearest competitor there in P21 for Christian Engelhardt, who seems to be having a better race this. Pretty much the opposite round for Christian. He's had a poor qualifying for his standards, but at least at the moment the race is clean. So we're currently in 10 minutes into a 30-minute session, but we see Christopher Herbenu there fighting quite hard with Nathaniel Fain, I think that is, behind him there, so not getting it all his own way, and probably feeling a little bit of the effects of what it's like to be in the middle to back half of the grid for the very first time, and maybe struggling a little bit with the unorthodox lines that maybe some of them back markers will be taking on him.
Yeah, indeed. As we watch here, the Delta V Racing driver of Thomas Yaz, a newcomer into the series in the last couple of rounds, and he is continuing to put down a good foot forward, up 8 positions on the day, just able to get a move on Gavin Gardner, going down through the first 2 corners, well, the first 3 corners. We can have that debate about whether turn 2 is a corner or not at a different time, but as they work their way down the Moraine sweep, it looks like that Mercedes able to get the legs out over the Ferrari behind. Gordon Haug thought about a little bit of a move there on Gardner going down into turn 5, but thought better of it, and that's going to be the BMW around just a little bit early on the loud pedal.
Yeah, it definitely is. You really got to watch where you accelerate around that turn number 5. That's a classic example of getting on that power a little bit too quickly, as Gordon Haig just spun around a little. Didn't lose too much time, but it's not the ideal place to turn, certainly when you've got a lot of fast cars behind you. But Christopher Herbenu not really making the inroads he would probably expect to be making. Currently still in P27th, Nathaniel Fain behind him in P28th, and Chris there that's been involved in a few incidents. So a couple of the big name drivers at the back of this field. But looking up at the front, Camille Sapini there in 4th place, trying to chase down Tom Dadswell as they come round to complete another lap here at Road America. But I mean, you can just see how close these top 4 are. Isaacson currently your leader, 3 tenths ahead of Fletcher, who's 7 tenths ahead of Dadswell, and then Sapini is 1.2 seconds behind. So these 4 drivers are extremely close together, and we do have the effect of the slipstream, so maybe later on in the race Fletcher will be looking at optimizing that and trying to make a move down into turn number 1. It's one of the places where it's quite easy to make the passing move, but if you get it slightly wrong, it could cause absolute disaster coming around that corner.
Yeah, it really, really can. As you said, about a 3rd, 4th gear corner coming through there. Not the heaviest of braking zones, but because of the speed you're carrying over the start-finish line, it really does become that. You can see the gap here starting to develop a little bit, though, between Simpini and Deckens, which probably is going to be good news here for the WS Racing Esports driver. Woo, that's not going to be good news, though, is the rear end of that Mercedes getting very, very squirrely. We check a little bit farther back in the field. That's Mike Paluch getting a move done on Ketiel Larson. Larson tries to have a little bit of a fight back there coming up through turn 6. Looks like that's not going to happen. Close running here between 2 of the Audis, though. Winkler and Grossman, the 2 core Sim Racing Legacy teammates, as they try to take the fight here to Lasse Sorensen up ahead of them, trying to be able to get by. And don't look now, but Lucas Lang coming on the back of this field as well.
Yeah, we saw last out Lucas had his very first race win in this season. Always was a very quick driver in that Porsche. Moved over from the Mercedes for the start of this round back over to the Porsche, and has been a changed man. And like he said when he came in the commentary booth last week, you know, he's been able to do a little bit more practice and feeling a little bit more confident about the car and the tracks on the circuit. Pretty much it's the last half of the race that he's getting them practice in, but still enjoying racing in that Porsche. As we're watching the two teammates here, Pencava and Claeson's, getting extremely close together. That Porsche, I wasn't expecting it to be that good around this track. Not very much known for its straight line speed. Oh, as we see a little bit of off the grass action there through Canada corner from Claeson's, but still managing to keep up with his teammate. The power of that slipstream is probably helping out that Porsche quite a bit.
Yeah, I certainly think it is, and we've got a little bit of that slipstream train, that draft train starting to develop here all the way up to Taruxoy, up ahead in that BMW, and the Track Scotland drivers. Here is Herbino, though, as he continues to try to pick his way through the field. He has Thrain directly ahead of him right now. He comes out of the final corner. Good line there for both BMW drivers. The question's going to be if the hardpoint by Delta Sport number 119 of Herbino is going to be able to send that move going down into turn 1. Let's stay here. It's about a car length and a half in between them as they dive down into the corner, looking to see if Herbino's going to poke his nose to the inside. No, he's going to stay in line.
Yeah, it definitely is, and he's actually lost out a position, was in P27th, and Thrain there has managed to take that position off him. So Christopher Herbino is in sort of like a bottleneck at the moment where he cannot get up the field further than P27th at the moment. We still got a bit of time in this race to go, literally just tipped over halfway through the first of these races, but this is just, Isaacson must, if he can see that timing tab, must be rubbing his hands together with glee, thinking I'm in first place and my rival in that Pro Championship is currently down in P27th and not really making much inroads. So it's a great day at the office if you're Isaacson. Herbino, maybe a different story.
Well, and if you want to be able to use the timing tower that we have, or indeed any of our layouts, go ahead and jump over to SDK Gaming, where you can add a virtual live hunt to iRacing that shows those timing towers, as well as enhanced relative boxes, mini-maps, fuel calculators, and more. You can stream it to Twitch with the most complete overlay on iRacing, or broadcast your league and series. SDK Gaming seeks your commentary team's cameras, focuses on drivers, and your overlays with your broadcaster. You can also adjust your team strategy on the fly with the most accurate live timing on iRacing, although the strategy here today not necessarily going to be as key with these two 30-minute races. You're not going to be having to deal with pit stops, so that is one less thing that these drivers have to worry about. But as we were going through that ad read, you saw there Niels-Erik Isaacson making a mistake, losing out 4 positions. That's the last thing he wants to have happen.
Yeah, it certainly is. Just that one little mistake takes him from first place in this race all the way down to P4th. Still on the back of the group, you can see him there, but that now gives Mark Fletcher. And from our broadcaster, Jamie, he was saying that these BMWs are probably the cars to watch in this round. Super quick in a straight line and really good around corners. Certainly around Road America, where you got some more bumpier the corners. As we well know, then BMWs can take them bumps over the corners extremely well. The Mercedes, good straight line speed, but is a big old beast around this second half of the track. So maybe good on the first half, but will sort of be struggling slightly on the second half. And you've got to always see Carl Winkler there getting it slightly wrong, and that that was Christian Engelhardt coming up on the middle there of Carl Winkler, right on the back, and Carl Winkler is crabbing.
Oh, that car does not look healthy. I also think Lucas Lang was potentially involved in that as well, coming down into turn 5. Ooh, that is not the way the car wants to be pointing there if you are Carl Winkler. That car almost driving completely sideways as it comes down. Let's take a look here at what happened. Oh, Lang. Oh, and Winkler just a hapless passenger there, unfortunately, as that really was a big kathunk there to the right front of that car as he tries to get it pointed back the right way. There you see a little bit of the check up there, but that is going to be a very, very tough break for both Lang and Winkler.
Yeah, I think that was, he was fighting with Grossman there, and Grossman clipped Lang, and Lang just shot across that track like a missile and literally T-boned Carl Winkler inside of his Audi car, and you can literally see, I mean, his steering wheel must be probably 90 degrees to the right at the moment just to try and keep that in a straight line. But we're looking back up at the front of the field. Mark Fletcher at the front, his teammate Todd Dadswell there in second place, and Sapini well positioned at the moment, tucked right under the rear wing of Dadswell's BMW. Just comes out, Dadswell's going super defensive here, coming down into turn 3/2, depending on how you want to look at it. But Isaacson at the moment struggling a little bit to try and keep up with the pace. Now these two BMW drivers have been let loose at the front of this field.
Yeah, they're really starting to pull away, but here comes a move from Sapini. He's going to look to the outside of turn 5 as they go down into the braking zone. Gets on the binders a little bit early, though. Maybe looking for a little bit of a crossover, a little bit of an over-under. One way or the other there, Dadswell feels the need to go defensive up into turn 6, and that's not going to play out. Here is Mike Paluch as he tries to close down on the back of Ketziel Larson. Ooh, very defensive line there from Larson coming into 6. Is that going to compromise his exit as they rise out over the bridge? It is, because he's going to get onto the grass and throw that position away.
Oh, literally buckled under the pressure with Ketziel Larson there coming out at turn number 6. Literally got it sideways, managed to keep the car, but did lose the position there to the Audi driver as we watch Herbenu here having an absolute epic battle with Nikolai Thrain. I think this battle's been going on now for around about a 6th lap. Herbenu looks like he's got the position done, but this is not what he wants to do. But you can see there Christopher Herbenu up to P25 from the cars having incidents around him, and that's probably one of the big features of this track, DJ, is if you can keep it on the tarmac, you're probably going to gain about 5 positions with other cars having issues. And we see here a car having an issue. Robert Guerra, front end completely stoved in. Let's see what happened to him here coming out of the carousel. Oh, literally just followed the car in front of him. The car in front of him, luckily, got away with it, but unfortunately Robert Guerra hit that grass and spun and literally T-boned the wall coming on the exit and carousel.
Yeah, and that, I think, is just a little bit of incident fixation there for Glarum as he came through the corner, and that is very, very unfortunate for one of the hardpoint by Delta Sport drivers. We focus here on Lasse Sorensen, currently 3rd place in the Pro-Am category, starting to pull a little bit of a gap over Ronald Grossman, but a pretty big gap up ahead to Lasse Sorensen, directly up ahead of him. Indeed, on that last lap, it looks like he lost around a second or so to his teammate. Ooh, little bit of a squirrely exit there on the exit of turn 1. You can see the rear end of that Mercedes trying to break away a little bit. Good job for Sorensen to be able to keep that under control, but I get the sense that he is driving to the absolute limit here, trying to keep Grossman behind him.
Yeah, it certainly is, but one of the cars that are surprising me in this race is the Audi. Michael Palich there and Ronald Grossman in P11, and obviously before Carl Winkler had his last lap incident, was doing extremely well, so that team is really dedicated to that Audi, and it's actually doing a cracking job around here and puts in what is probably the fastest car and the go-to car on iRacing, really putting under a lot of pressure at the moment as we currently ride on board with Grossman, trying to track down Sorensen in that Mercedes in front of him, the usual RGL coating green and white coloured Mercedes, but doing a cracking job. And we always come to see this with Ronald Grossman, as we see a little bit of flick in there from Sorensen in front. Ronald Grossman doesn't really normally do well in the qualifying. As we see Alexander Squaret again, and I think that is turn number 6, so another victim of turn 6.
Yeah, just getting caught out there again. Let's go back to check out the replay as he gets a little bit squirrely there coming out of turn 5, coming up under the Corvette bridge right now. Just gets on it, carries a hair too much speed down through the corner, and that's enough to spin him around. He's going to lose some positions, but fortunately there for Scarrett, no damage to the car in that 2-1-3, but he will find himself down in 35th position as of right now. Good battle here. Lucas Lang trying to defend from Christian Engelhardt. Remember, Lang falling down through the field courtesy of that incident a few laps ago down into turn 5. Looks like he's able to get a better run off of the corner out of turn 5, and he's going to buy himself a little bit of breathing room through Bill Mitchell Bend.
Yeah, he certainly is, as Christian Engelhardt is currently sitting second in that AM standings at the moment, so you can see the excellent job that Tarowski's doing, currently in P15, so 7 positions ahead of Christian Engelhardt out on track. But there's no probably better driver to be following than Lucas Lang. Extremely fast in that Porsche, so the Lamborghini driver there will be having a nice, decent tow. But looking at Christopher Herbenau, again up 2 positions, courtesy of that earlier incident that you were saying between Lang and Carl Winkler, up P23. So literally having a really good battle with Nikolai Thrain here, and both of them drivers are just picking up positions by other cars having slight incidents out on track.
Yeah, indeed they are, but looking there at Herbenau's car, let's look at the right front there. That appears to be a little bit of damage on the 119, so I wonder, Andy, if that's slowing him down a little bit, if he maybe is getting a little bit of disrupted aerodynamics, and that could explain the reason why he's still only down in 24th, and now Nikolai Thrain tries to send the move to the outside of him, going down into turn 5, pinches him at the apex. It looks like Herbenau's going to get a little bit of a better launch off of the corner, but he is still in very heavy defense mode.
He certainly is, and obviously coming up to turn 6, you're going on that inside line, you've got to be really tentative coming around there, so would have lost a lot of speed. And I think this battle with Nikolai at the moment is really affecting Herbenau being able to get up into this field. You can see the gap to Engelhardt in front, near enough 7 seconds, so it'd be hard apart from other crashes. As we see PJ Clayson's there in that Porsche. I think that is again coming out of the carousel, if I'm not mistaken. So another incident of possibly, yes it is, of hitting that grass on the outside.
Yeah, comes under the Speedville Bridge there, closing in on his teammate just a little bit, and let's see. Oh, just got on the loud pedal a little bit early, and that's always notorious rear-engine, rear-wheel drive of the Porsche 911 GT3R, just sending him for a little bit of a spin.
Yeah, it definitely is, and obviously one of the other characteristics is that Porsche absolutely chews up the tyres, and you really don't want that coming around Road America.
And here we check out Ronald Grossman, who tries to go for a big move down into turn 6, courtesy of a little bit of a problem up in front of him, and it's all going to be thrown away for naught, off into the kitty litter on the outside of turn 6. Able to get that car stopped before he makes contact with the tire barriers there on the outside, but that is not the way that the Core Sim Racing Legacy driver wanted to be pointed.
Now pushing it a little bit too hard, but we joined back with this battle. It's just ever ensuing. Oh, it's Nikolai Thrain gets it completely wrong coming out of turn 1. Manages to save it, but Herbenau just manages to get this car past. So Nikolai certainly losing one of his cat lives there to save that car coming around turn number 1. But again, coming down to turn number 5, you've got Lucas Lang and Paul Collishaw, that is, coming through turn 5, and Engelhardt just following through. So Paul Collishaw just losing 2 positions there down the Moran sweep into turn number 5.
Yeah, losing out those 2 positions. The Ferrari driver, but that was Engelhardt almost getting it wrong there, and he's lucky to be able to hold on to that car. Collishaw looks like he's having some blinking problems there, I believe. Comes back into existence there as they work their way. Good battle here. This is for P3 between Sapini and Isaacson. I think Isaacson is tired of waiting around, and he wants to get a move on here with about 3 minutes left to go in this race. This should be 2 to go at the line.
Yeah, it certainly is, and you can see the power difference between the 2 cars. The 2 BMWs out in front of Fletcher and Dadswell, just getting a little bit of a gap over Sapini and Isaacson in that Mercedes behind. So certainly seems like the car of choice for this round is the BMW, but these 2 Mercedes drivers at the back just battling out for that last place of the position. They still have that slipstream effect, so the gap should not extend that much coming through turn number 1. But like you said, that is a beast of a car to get around sweeping fast corners, the Mercedes, as we look further behind a real good battle between Larson's and Palic. Larson's managing to get past through that turn number 1 over that slipstream effect as we look further back, and our leader Tarowski getting in past there by Stuart Wines into turn 1. Tarowski's having an exceptionally good race, but now is brought up into a melee between 2 pro drivers. Wines there in 13th and Pencarver just behind in 15th.
Yes, indeed, in a battle of the BMWs there, as it looks like Taruxo able to get a pretty good run there out of turn 3. He's going to be less than a car length in between himself and Stuart Wines as they come through the Moraine sweep and under the Sargento Bridge. He's going to have to look to the outside, though, as Wines goes down to the inside to cover off that line, trying to see what he's going to be able to do here, looking for maybe a little bit of a crossover. No, he's going to just try to keep it around the outside. More side-by-side in the back of the field as that is Lucas Lang getting by Gavin Gardner as easy as you please down into 5. Lang just just later onto the binders and makes that work. Here comes Christoph Herbino and Nikolai Thrain. That battle seems like it never dies here with only about a minute and a half left to go here in the first race.
Yeah, even though they're probably back down there in 23rd and 22nd position, these two have been having a battle from, well, probably from the start of the race, near enough after lap 3, I think it was, they got joined together, and ever since then they've been inseparable, literally passing each other on each lap. So these two would, well, hard fought fight for what is P22nd at the moment out on field. So not the positions Herbini was probably expecting to gain in this first race, and that will put him that far up the grid for the second. So this could be some really good points for Isaacson if he can capitalize at the top and maybe get past Sapini for an extra couple of points to bring that Pro Championship down to the end there, as we're now on the last lap here. So we managed to get another lap out of this race. Mark Fletcher currently leading it with his teammate Tom Dadswell in second place. The two Mercedes managing to close some of that gap to the front two at the moment, but it very much seems that it's the two BMWs fighting out for first and the two Mercedes fighting out for second.
Yes, indeed. They're going to have a little bit of lap traffic up ahead of them in the form of Matt Sire there in that Lamborghini, but we'll have to see how that plays out. I hope they don't catch it coming down through the hurry downs, as that's not the area they really want to be able to get it. But Fletcher looks like he's got about a 2-car length advantage there as they go through turn 5 for the last time in this first race, coming up through turn 6 right now. And now we begin the process into the hurry downs. Fletcher leading from Dadswell, leading from Sapini, leading from Isaacson, and a big gap back to Martin Deckens there as they run. Here they come into turn 8 one more time through the carousel, and then the checkered flag will fly.
Yeah, definitely will, and I think Mark Fletcher probably thought that that was the last lap before, because we saw him there coming across the line flashing his lights, which is normally the race-winning tactic. So maybe got a little bit of a lap ahead of him and has this last lap to try and navigate. He's doing a great job of holding off his teammate, and I suppose the advantage as well, DJ, of having your teammate with you is that he's not going to make any lunging moves there as the Lamborghini just gets out of the way of this battle for the top 4, and certainly looks like this will be Mark Fletcher's win in the first race here today. So he will be starting P8 out on the second one. So in that P8 we currently have Ketil Larsson, who will be our pole sitter for race number 2.
Yes, he will, but Larson's going to have that moment of glory here and a little bit later, as right now it is the 111 of Mark Fletcher that climbs the hill for the final time, flashes his headlights, and comes across the start-finish line to take victory here in race 1 over his Altitude Esports teammate of Tom Dadswell. Here comes Martin Deckens, your Pro-Am winner with a fantastic drive. Jacob Barron's going to round out the second place on the podium. Ketil Larsson there will be the driver that starts off in pole position for this second race, and there is Greg Hoodler coming across as well, 4th place in the Pro-Am category.
Yeah, just waiting for Taroxoy to come across to get that AM win, and he certainly does, and I believe that is his first AM win of the season. So a great race for Taroxoy in the AM class in P14th overall, and getting some really valuable points over the rest of the AM field. The nearest rival in 21st, which was Christian Engelhardt there. So a great first race for Baraxoy Truxoy in 14th place, and we'll have a good position for this second race. Ross Fowler there, we're not really talked about, not had the best of starts really in this first race, currently in P37th overall, around about 4th in the AM class, so is not really going to close up that much over Otterholt, who's currently leading, who is not here tonight.
No, he is not. As we watch here, Chris Rance, the privateer, bringing his Porsche out of that final corner, coming up over the line. The last driver to cross over will be Carl Winkler for the Core Sim Racing Legacy team in that number 103 Audi. Winkler had a bit of an up-and-down race there, finishing 15 points down from his starting position. Runs a little bit wide there on the exit of the corner, and now he is going to climb up the hill, looking to Barney the Flagman, as Winkler will take 30th place here at Road America.
Yeah, certainly would. And obviously Winkler got what I can only describe as a WWE slam into turn number 5 from Lucas Lang, and unfortunately put paid to his race. But that's the end of the first race here. We still have another 30-minute race to entertain all our viewers on YouTube and who are watching live. It's a cracking first race, and it's really opened it up to a great second race.
Yeah, it certainly has. As there are your official results from Race 1. Fletcher, Dadswell, and Sapini rounding out your podium for the pro category. Nils-Erik Isaacson not doing what he needed today, throwing away that position coming out of the final corner and finishing only 4th. That's going to blunt slightly his gain on Christoph Herbeno, which is the really important thing that we wanted to see here today. Deckens and Barons are there in 1st and 2nd for the Pro-Am category, with Lasse Sorensen rounding out your Pro-Am podium. Cope, Larson, and Paluch in the middle there. Kieran Smart came home in 11th, followed by Hubler and Wyness. But Ballesteroxoy able to take victory there in the AM category. Penkava came home 15th, followed by Thomas Jazz, Lucas Lang, Gavin Gardner there, rounding out your top 18. As we look a little bit further back there in the field, some of these drivers just having a rough day out there as they ran. The biggest name to take a look at there is going to be Christoph Herbeno, losing out in that battle with Nikolai Thrain, only able to come home 22nd. That's a decent job of hemorrhaging the bleeding here, Andy, but I think he would have wanted more on the day.
Yeah, he certainly would have. I mean, but that was probably the best that he was going to probably expect, starting from that pit lane, starting with a huge deficit at the beginning of the race. Obviously, a lot of them positions, he really didn't make any passing moves throughout that first race, battling with Nikolai Thrain for pretty much 95% of that race. And the only reason why he got so far up the grid was all the carnage that we had with a few drivers that were out in front. But that is the story of this track. You know, you've got to keep it nice, clean and consistent out on track, because some of these corners really invite you to push it that little bit too far, and we saw quite a few drivers on that first race getting it wrong.
Well, and if you at home want to be able to maximize your performance and be able to get it right around here, like we see some of these drivers in the ARL GT3 Trophy Series, go ahead and jump on over to Virtual Racing School to improve your on-track performance with over 50+ data packs for both road and oval racing. You can get setups, track guides, data analysis software to figure out where you can gain some time, as well as one-on-one coaching to truly try to maximize your performance out on track. And now, as we work our way through this 3-minute warm-up session, only about 20 seconds left to go, and I've got to ask you, Andy, what are you watching here in Race 2?
It's very much the battle of the front runners for that first race. They're going to be starting in 6th, 7th, and 8th. Then front 3 were the front 4 were the really ones that really got away. So it's going to be interesting to see how they can get through. And then it's also going to be interesting to see what Herbeno can do. He's not going to have a pit lane start, but starting mid-pack in this race. So it's going to be interesting to see if he can carve through some of the field, not having that deficit to gain up on the first couple of laps. So I would really expect him to make some leapfrogs, some big leapfrogs on this first lap, but it's going to be do or die for him. I think he's got to take them chances to make them passing moves, but there's high risk involved in it.
High risk indeed. And let's go ahead and run you through what will be the starting order for this second race. It will be Larson and Cope lining up in pole position, followed by the Pro-Am drivers of Barons and Deckens. Nils-Erik Isaacson and Kamon Sapini will come home in row 3, followed by Tom Dadswell and Mark Fletcher. Then it's Mike Paluch and Lasse Sorensen, followed by Kieran Smart and Greg Hubler to round out your top 12. Stuart Wyness for Track Scotland, and then your first AM driver, Ballesteroxoy. Then it's Martin Penkava and Thomas Jazz. Lucas Lang going to be rolling off in 17th with Gavin Gardner to his outside. Paul Collishaw will be 19th with Christian Engelhard flanking him, and Nikolai Thrain and Christoph Herbeno, the sparring partners from Race 1, will start there in 19th and 20th. Then it's going to be Gordon Haug and PJ Claessens in 24th position. 25th will be Matthew Chris, followed by Russ Fowler with Christoph Regenwetter and Ronald Grossman in the row behind them. 29th is Chris Rance, followed by Carl Winkler with Sean Cranley-Swa and Richard Boberg. Then it's Matt Sire and Marcel Nurnberg with Dominic Smerrick and Chris Danes in 36th. 37th is Robin Glarum, followed by Alexander Scarrett, and David Gill will be your final driver here today on the field. And now we watch as Kjetil Larsen brings the field to green. Thomas Cope going to be following there close on his outside. Not as early as a getaway as we saw in that first race. Little bit of a checkup there in the back of the field. And there gets onto the green is Kjetil Larsen. We're racing for the second time in Road America. Is that a little bit of a bump draft I see potentially between Behrens and Isaacson, the IGL E-Coatings team, trying to see what they can do. A little bit of a spread out here as they come down into the corner. They've got to be a little bit wary of going 3 wide down into turn 1. Looks like the first couple of rows are through nice and cleanly. Stuart Wyness tries to get through okay. Paul Collishaw is running into a little bit of himself as that's one of the cars off way in the background, and that's going to be heavy impact into the wall.
Yeah, it's Gordon Haig there coming around turn 1, and we've got some incidents further back in the field. You can see at the top of your picture there, 3 cars involved in that turn 1 incident. Mad Sire and Dominic Sumek not having the best of luck around that first corner, so 3 cars involved. So we had a total of 4 cars there involved, and Robert Guerin, who had that incident earlier on, was really running really well in the first race up into P8, had that incident, found himself at the back of the field, and then again getting caught up in that incident, so will be further off the back of the field. But looking going down into turn number 5, relatively clean for the rest of the field here on this first lap, going up into the treacherous turn number 6. Cars going side by side there, coming out of 6, coming through 7, which will compromise the inside car's speed coming down here into turn number 8. But they're all sort of jostling for positions at the moment, DJ.
Yes, they are. We focus back on Chris Rance. They are down 2 positions from his starting spot. Chris Danes, right up ahead of him, is up 6. One of the earliest, biggest movers here as they go. Oh, careful there, boys. Running in a little bit of a triangle up in front of them is Regenwetter, Danes, and Boberg as they come out of the carousel. You've got to be very, very careful about that. We saw so many drivers get it wrong, and I think I just heard this spearing off of a car, and indeed, that's a couple of the Audis. Multiple drivers off in the cake.
It is, definitely is. And I think that was, is that Cranley Swalsh at the back in the Lamborghini? Yes, it is. Getting caught up into that turn, coming through the kink there, getting it slightly wrong. May have got a little bit of assist there, because we did see just before that cars in front have a little bit of an incident, but Herbinu really pushing strongly on Paul Collishaw in the end of the lap. And I think Christian Engelhardt there is being a bit cheeky, trying to nip the place on the outside as they run down. Oh no! He gets taken out by Christian Engelhardt coming up the start-finish line, and this could be disaster down the field. The rest of the cars, oh no, we have another BMW in front of them. Complete incident there coming down the start-finish straight at the end of the first lap. That is like 7, 8, 9 cars there involved in it from that first slight incident between Herbinu and Christian Engelhardt coming up towards the start-finish line. Absolute chaos here in race number 2 at Road America.
My goodness, multiple cars smoking down pit lane. A big, big incident here on the end of the first lap, taking out your championship leader involved in it as well, Christoph Herbino. That is going to have massive, massive implications for the championship. There is Herbino. Dare I say, considering how much damage that was inflicted onto that car and how much carnage we saw, it looks like Herbino is able to get out of that relatively scot-free. But Andy, let's go ahead and check out this replay. As you said, this really all started with this contact here from Engelhardt and Herbino.
Yeah, so it looks like the Engelhardt trying to get on the outside, a little bit of door banging there, and unfortunately the car behind, it looks like he managed to keep his rear bumper, but because Herbinu was just right on the racing line there, every car behind him had to avoid him, and that's where we saw the chaos ensue. The cars going left, right, coming up into that pit entry sign quite close to it, and the cars going on the grass, losing control and literally just spinning around in front of every other car. So Herbinu got away with it quite lightly there, but a lot of other cars did not.
Yeah, they really did not, as we got a little bit of side-by-side here between Cope and Deckens, and Cope getting his elbows out there, and that's going to be Deckens off into the kitty litter around Canada corner. The 2 Mercedes drivers just coming to blows there. Everything starting to fire off. Deckens losing multiple positions as he tries to get back going.
Yeah, it certainly is, and there's another a prime example of cars fighting into Canada corner. Looked like Cope just slightly hit the side of Deckens, which pushed him off. He just literally went into the kitty litter, but because he could not get back on track, look how many positions he has lost there. So we'll have a quick replay here of the incident.
All right. inside. This is Niels-Erik Isaacson, though, coming down here into the left-hander. Did he get off? Yes, he did. That's turn 8 coming up under the bridge, and that's going to lose him multiple positions as well. He's going to find himself down in 6th place. So once again, the IGL Coatings iRacing driver losing valuable positions on the day when Christoph Herbeno is having it all go to naught. He really needs to try to gain up a little bit more. Here is Matthew Crisp, though, as he tries to hold off the attack from Gavin Gardner in the back. A little bit of breathing room, but definitely a gaggle of cars up in front of him.
Yeah, certainly has. I mean, this is the thing. Isaacson really trying to push hard, but not getting through. But watching Lucas Lang here trying to make a move on Fletcher coming down into turn 5, the Porsche driver on the inside. Is he going to have the speed coming up into turn number 6 side by side here? Going to have to be really careful with each other, which these two pro drivers are managed to get through. But Nikolai Frayne there, hot on the heels. In fact, Nikolai Frayne is the one in front of Lang. Mark Fletcher, my mistake, is behind, but Lang just diving it down there into turn number 6. Hitting Frayne slightly off, not getting the position, but that has given Mark Fletcher, thank you very much, guys. I'll take them 2 positions.
Yes, it will, and a little bit of bumping and banging there for Lucas Lang, and I think that was a little bit of damage to his car, as now it's going to be Matthew Crisp. Yes, you can indeed see the damage on the rear of that Porsche, number 1124 Lang, side by side, coming down through the kink. That was Martin Deckens with a gutsy move.
He's really got to try and get his position. You can see there in the tide, lost 13 positions on that previous lap with the incident with Thomas Cope coming down to this exact corner, Canada corner. Literally got pushed out wide, and we just saw a stream of cars overtake the second place Pro-Am driver there, but currently down in P17, 13 places. He'll be sieving in that car to trying to make as many positions back up as physically possible, but it's going to be a hard day because this is quite a hard track. Some places, certainly on that back straight, to try and do some overtaking moves, and we've seen quite a few drivers come a cropper with trying to push their cars too much, as we watch Deckens here trying to get the position here into turn number 1.
Yeah, he's going to look down to the inside there, but nothing's going to be doing. Deckens, though, trying to power his way by Lang. He's going to be able to hold it out to the inside here, coming down through 2 and into turn 3. I think that's a little bit of a check up in front from Yaz as they try to go, and that's going to be Deckens around. He may have made a little bit of contact there with Lang, and that's enough to send the 227 Mercedes spinning off to the inside.
Yeah, I think he was still suffering from that red mist and literally trying to take every single opportunity, but we're looking further up the field. Pencava making a passing move there on Truxoy, our top AM driver. Mark Fletcher trying to capitalise, not quite getting it done, but Martin Deckens, I think pretty much the anger has got the better of the Mercedes driver there, literally losing 13 positions with an incident through Canada corner, and then losing even more positions there with an incident with Lucas Lang through turn number 3.
So we jump back to check out a replay here. This is Tom Dadswell on lap 2. Let's see what happened here to the Altitude Esports driver as he goes down into the corner. Oh, big kerfluffle up in front of him, and he's going to get a bit of a poke there, and that's going to send him into the outside wall. Very, very unfortunate, and I think that is day done and dusted for the Altitude Esports BMW driver. We check back in on that battle with Taraxoy right now. Fletcher trying to close in behind. A little bit of a look from Nikolai Frayne. Also keep an eye on Crisp there behind as well. Big move down to the inside for Taraxoy as he tries to get by Pencava in the number 120. How's that all going to play itself out?
Well, that was a brilliant move there from Truxoy. Literally lined up Pencava coming down into the Canada corner. If you're going to make a passing move, that's exactly how you do it there. And Fletcher just followed him through as Pencava was pushed off flying through Canada corner, so lost a lot of speed. So great move there from our top AM driver Truxoy, who's managed to get himself into a top 10 position. His nearest rival at the moment is in P23. 13 positions difference between the top first and second place in the AM. So Truxoy is having a cracking round here tonight.
Yeah, it really is. We got a little bit of side-by-side there in the back. That's going to be Collishaw and Winkler. Winkler up 10 positions on the day, trying to get that Audi down to the inside. This is not for class position as Winkler is a pro and Collishaw is a pro-am, but Collishaw holding his own as Winkler tries to be able to muscle that Ferrari around the outside. And watch out now, that's Robin Clarum coming in behind as well, trying to figure out a place to be able to get on by, picking his line on who's going to have the better car in a straight line. Looks like he's going to hook up behind the Ferrari right now, as that's going to force him wide. Thinking about almost 3 wide going down into turn 5, but Clarum's going to have to back out of it as Winkler tries to send it around the outside. That's not going to work, and they're going to go into the corner the same way they started the lap.
Yeah, it certainly is. I think he chose the wrong car to bump draft round down there, knowing that the Ferrari is not exactly the quickest car in a straight line. That Audi might have been a better choice, but still lives to find another day. But am I seeing right there Mark Fletcher out the race? What's happened to him?
Not entirely sure, but you are right. That is Mark Fletcher done and dusted for the day. Keep our eyes focused here on that battle with Winkler and Collishaw. Collishaw shutting the door coming through the first part of the carousel, not being able to show it out. But now as we check a little bit farther up in the field, here is Stuart Wyness with Niels Eriks Isaacson trying to close in behind. He's going to have a look going down into Canada corner. A little bit half-hearted, thinks better of it, and he's going to slot back into line behind the BMW.
Yeah, really trying to maximise his position here as Isaacson. Christopher Herbenu not making a great start, currently in P26, down 4 places from where he started after that incident coming out of the last corner, turn number 14, and causing that carnage coming up the part of the track we're watching at the moment. I think it was 9 cars involved in there, a lot of retirees from that incident at the moment. But this race continues, currently 10 minutes in to this second race, so still plenty of racing to go as we're currently watching Pencarva having a battle with Turoksoy in front of him. Nikolai Frayne there, really racy again in this second race, getting up quite a few positions, up 10 positions. Oh, as we see one of the IGL Coatings team just stranded around turn number 1. Who was that? Was that Sorensen? Yes, it was Sorensen.
I'm not sure what happened there. It looked like he was trying to take a tow after an incident. Let's watch the 280. Comes down into the corner. Is this just touching the grass on the outside? That's exactly what it is. Heavy damage there into the outside. And that is so unfortunate there, Andy. That is a blind corner, and he was just stranded in the middle of the track.
It certainly was. It's not a slow corner there. It's pretty much flat out in third gear in these GT3 cars. So the cars coming around the corners would have certainly had a fright seeing that Mercedes just straddling the center of the track. He just saw the cars going at left and right at the moment, but saw a hairy moment there, and unfortunately getting clipped, which has really put paid to his race. We've had quite a few retirees in this second race due to a lot of incidents in the first 11 minutes of this race. So, you know, a lot of positions to be made. You can see there the positions gained out on track. Chris Daines in 14th, up 22 positions. Robert Guerin in 15th, up 22 positions again. So some really big movers in this second race, but some heavy losers in this one as well, mate.
Yes, for sure there. As we watch Greg Hubler here, the Samsoy driver running around in 8th. Here's a little bit of an attack. Nikolai Thrain, we've already talked about how good he looks here today. He's going to send and move easy as you please down onto the inside of Canada corner, and that is going to be 9th place, taken away from your AM class leader of Balas Turoksoy. A fantastic run here from Nikolai Thrain, and he has got to be feeling very, very good about himself, able to fight with the overall points leader of Christoph Herbeno successfully in that first race, now moving his way up into the top 10. Here's a battle, though, with Stuart Wyness and Niels Eriks Isaacson. He's going to be down to the inside of the braking zone of turn 1. It's going to be a straight drag race in the battle of the late breakers. It's not even going to be a battle of the late breakers, as Eriks Isaacson is able to get that move done and moves himself up into 6th.
Yeah, so there's another position gain from Isaacson after his earlier incident where we saw him coming around turn number 6, getting slightly off track and losing a few. So really needs to maximise his positions in this second race, with Herbenu struggling in the first and struggling even more. But we're just looking at the front end of that McLaren. Got pretty much well ventilated radiators with no bonnet there at the front, but he's getting pressured by Robert Guerin behind. These two trying to value for the top positions made in this second race.
Yeah, trying to gain back in, and there he's going to have a little bit of a look to the outside. A little bit fiddly there on the brakes was the 197. Here's Martin Deckens, currently running in 18th right now. He is down 14 positions on the day. Collishaw still having some connection issues there, it looks like, and that's got to be a very, very scary time. Whoa, Deckens is thanking his lucking stars.
Yeah, it certainly is. And I think, as we see the IGL Coatings team there in front get it completely wrong coming through turn number 7. It's a pretty treacherous corner. It's a fully committed corner. If you go too quick into that turn, you can see exactly what Alexander Scaret did there. Literally come right off. It could have ended up worse, but I think that car is pretty toast again, so maybe another casualty for the pit lane starters. Yes, indeed it is. I can see there on the pit lane from P30th all the way down to P39, they've all been in the pit. So 9 cars so far been in the pit lane in this second race.
And Jacob Barron's there making a mistake, it looks like, down through Canada Corner. He's going to be slow coming up through Bill Mitchell Bend and now through the final corner. Let's go back and check out this replay to find out exactly what happened to the 212. Lines it up here, coming down into the braking zone. Oh, he's going to catch the grass on the entry to the corner, and that's just going to be enough to spin that Mercedes halfway around. He's able to get it gathered up back under him and only just tended a little bit of a time off into the kitty litter, but he will have lost a few positions there. He's now down 5 on the day, and Greg Hubler here continues to gain positions. He finds himself up 5.
Yeah, this would be a great win for Greg Hubler, which I think he really likes this track. I think from history he said this is probably one of his favourite tracks, is Greg Hubler, and doing a cracking job here in race number 2. Currently leading the Pro-Am field in P7th overall, but we've got a battle here between Kieran Smart and Malcolm Palic coming down into turn number 5. Smart trying to go around the outside, Palic just closing off that door on the inside, literally doing a really sneaky move there, opening up his steering to close off that exit for Kieran Smart there to make that passing move for that top last position on the podium. So Michael Palic using all of his track knowledge out there with the Audi driver to really make Kieran Smart work for that P3 position.
Well, and here we see Christoph Herbino sending what looks to be a pretty easy move down to the inside of Dominic Smerrick, and indeed that's going to be done and dusted. And if you want to improve your track knowledge and your track ability, jump on over to Apex Racing Academy with 29 data packs, setups, track guides, and it integrates perfectly with VRS. You can get weekly group coaching sessions plus much, much more. One of the best ways to improve your track time on the iRacing service. And rest assured, plenty of these drivers here in ARL GT3 Trophy have used that system to be able to improve their time. Christoph Herbino, he is up 1 position on the day, but with all of that damage to the hardpoint by Delta Sport car, he is going to be ruining what could have been, and that's going to set up a pretty fantastic championship finale at a very tricky circuit in the form of Mid-Ohio.
Yeah, it certainly is. It's a grandstand finish and a really good finish to what has been an excellent 12-round season for Season 4 of this GT Trophy here as we watch Gavin Gardner there. When we look in front, that BMW, the red BMW, the Delta Hardsport team of Robert Giram, up 24 positions where he started. I knew he was going to be racy because he was in the top 8 in that first race, apart from that incident that puts him to the back of the field. So done a cracking job of managing to work his way through the field. Up 24 positions at the moment in P13.
Up into P13 right now as Crisp tries to work his way around here a little bit. We're seeing another attack, though, from Bellis Taruxoy. This is that battle. Taruxoy trying to hold on to that top 10 position, although he's got a healthy gap in the AM category. They work their way through down into turn 5 right now. It's going to be Taruxoy down to the outside there, trying to hold on. Crisp looks like he forces the privateer a little bit wide, and that's going to be moved, done, and dusted.
Yeah, but he's been extremely racy here at Road America at Taruxoy. You know, literally leaps ahead of the rest of the Anfield nearest rival in P19th now, which is David Gill, that crashed out in epic fashion on that first race. But Taruxoy, I think he really wants to get into that top 10 position to say he's finished top 10 overall in a GT Trophy race.
Yeah, very good run there for him, and he's going to be, I've got to think you're right, trying to move his way up forward as much as he can. Just to give you a quick update, by the way, Kjetil Larsen continues to lead this race over Thomas Cope, as we've got a little bit of an off there for Christoph Wegenretter. I think that was coming up through Bill Mitchell Bend, and I've just noticed a driver coming down into pit lane there, but let's see what happens. Ooh, that is, that orange BMW looked like he got it wrong. Contact there between the two.
Yeah, I think that was George Haig there in the orange BMW, slightly making contact. Yes, I was correct. George Haig there getting a slight bit of contact coming up through that corner. Can be very treacherous. You don't really want to go 2x2 wide because you're trying to put the power on coming in there using all of the track. So unfortunately a little bit of an incident there. But we're looking at Marcel Nürburg and P27 at the moment having a fight with Sorensen out in front, but we'll go back up to Isaacson, who's really on a charge at the moment, currently up into P3, getting past Kieran Smart at the moment. So it's a bit of a way off Thomas Cope, and I think that's pretty much sneaked in there, DJ. Thomas Cope there in P2 at the moment, 5 seconds behind Ketil Larson, who's been leading this race since the go. But a great end to the season, I think, for Thomas Cope, and probably a wise choice changing over from the Lamborghini to the Mercedes.
Yes, indeed it was, and it's certainly proving out to be a good way to go there for him. He's got to be pretty pleased with that as he runs. Now we watch Jacob Behrens right now ahead of Stuart Wyness, Nikolai Thrain, far enough back they don't have to worry about it. But here is Kieran Smart, Mayak Paluch. We've already talked about his rise up through the field, up 4 positions. Well, Smart is up 7 on the day, so a fantastic run there for the Track Scotland driver. He's going to be hoping to close in on Niels Eriks Isaacson and maybe take away a podium.
Yeah, it definitely is. But them top 4 from the first race, where I thought they would make light work of the field, and not really up at the front, up at the sharp end of this field. You know, you've got brand new team up there. Isaacson's probably the top one there in P3 at the moment. The rest of them have really struggled in this second race to get past a few drivers in front, a couple of them being involved in incidents as well. But that obviously gives us a really good battle for brand new drivers at the top end or the sharp end of this field. But Chris Dane there in that very damaged McLaren at the moment, still able to drive the car around, our one and only McLaren driver there in P17th. But one of the things I have noticed, and has been a real feature of this championship, DJ, is how much, and you can see on the timing tower on the left hand side, these Pro-Am drivers are really mixing it up with the pros and literally getting amongst them. You can see there a lot of them, and even the Am drivers poking their nose every now and then into that category of cars.
Yeah, it's really one of the remarkable things about the ARL GT3 Trophy Series is just those drivers. I mean, how many times have we seen Behrens be able to be up on the actual overall podium over the course of a run? It really is a testament to the talent here in this field. If you've got that designation of a Pro-Am or an Am driver, it certainly doesn't mean you're a backmarker by any means. And here is one of those Am drivers, Dominic Smerek. Looks like he's got a little bit of damage to the left rear of that car. That wing slightly out of place, but it doesn't look like it's affecting him too much.
No, it doesn't. Obviously, P3 at the moment in the AM Championship behind David Gill, in front of him, the Audi driver, but he does have Russ Fowler not that far behind, 3 seconds behind him at the moment. So currently 21 minutes, nearly 22 minutes into this 30 minutes, 8 minutes left. So round about 4 laps remaining in this second race here, and still plenty of action ahead of us.
Yeah, plenty of action indeed, although things seem to have died down ever so slightly compared to the beginning of this race, which was nothing short of a kerfluffle, it has to be said. As we watch there, Smerek bringing the car out of turn 5, up and over the hill. That rear wing damage not looking like it's affecting the Porsche too much, but Smerek having a very good day, up 14. Here's a little bit of a battle. That is going to be Paluch and Kieran Smart working their way through Ronald Grossman. Grossman, a lapped car here on the day, as Smart trying to close in on Isaacson. This is really one of the closest battles we've got out on track.
Yeah, it certainly is, and a bit of info here from our producer. It looks like Fletcher is saying he got disqualified in the second race. Not sure where he would have got that. It might have been for a starting infringement at the start of the race, but the reason why Mark Fletcher is out of the second race really is because of a disqualification. We don't really see them in the ARL Trophy, so pretty much getting everything in this round.
Yeah, we normally don't, as here comes Nikolai Thrain trying to get a move done on Stuart Wyness down into turn 1, but Wyness is going to shut the door and not let the number 220 Alcantech NHR driver on by. And you're very right. We normally don't see disqualifications or anything of the like here. Everyone tends to play by the rules as much as possible. Here is Robin Glarum, though, coming up behind Jazz right now, trying to see if he's able to get anything on the French driver. Does look like there's a little bit of damage to the front of that Mercedes, so could have some aerodynamic negative effects there to him. But let's see if the BMW driver is going to be able to get anything. He's going to send a move down to the inside here, coming into turn 5. Later on the binders is Glarum, and that's a move done as easy as you please.
Yeah, that was a relatively easy move coming down into turn number 5. I think that was a little bit of help there from Jazz, just giving him the position up. No, like you said, the damage on that car, there's no point fighting Robin coming through there, and obviously you can see he's really on the charge. That's up 25 positions where he started in this second race. A fantastic job by Robert Gillum there, currently in P2, but we rejoined this battle for P7. Stuart Wyness and Nikolai Thrain, the Pro-Am driver there, really putting a lot of pressure under the Pro driver in front of him, and he's just been so racy here today at Road America as Thane. It's quite impressive to watch.
Yeah, it really is pretty impressive to watch, and look how much pressure he is really putting to the back here of Stuart Wyness, and indeed just enough to force a micro error there out of the Track Scotland driver. But here comes that move. Yes, falling down a few more positions, as that's going to be Martin Deckens able to get that move done and on by. That'll move Deckens up into 13th overall and 4th in the Pro-Am category, but he is still down 9 on the day following that previous incident. Ketsio Larson, meanwhile, sets the fastest lap of the race up at the top of the field, extending that gap over Thomas Cope to the tune of about 6.5 seconds, although he's got some traffic to deal with.
Yeah, they're pretty much the top two are in no man's land at the moment. Ketsio Larson's got a free track available to him. Thomas Cope 6.4 seconds behind Ketsio Larson. They're in second place with a big gap, but that McLaren is a bit of damage. Let's have a look at this replay.
All right, this is coming down through the final corner. No clip of the grass there. He clips the grass on the inside, and that's going to spin that McLaren right around. He's able to catch the car, get out of the way, and get back onto the loud pedal with no more damage done to that already pretty injured British mark there. But the Verano Bavaria driver losing a couple of positions as they go. Crisp here, and we focus back in on as he tries to be able to get a move done. He's actually been able to send the move on Nikolai Thrain. Not sure what happened there.
No, definitely not. Obviously, the teammates there, Matthew Crisp getting it past his teammates. Let's have a look to see what happened coming down here, down the long straight. We've got Wyness in front, getting under a lot of pressure by Nikolai Thrain. Goes really wide. Is it a slight mistake? Yeah, the two jump and hit into P5, which has given Matthew Crisp the option to get, or the passing opportunity to get in front of his teammate at the moment. So a slight incident rather than a pass on track. But what's happened here? Stuart Wyness is now behind Nikolai Thrain and his teammates. So big incidents here on this lap between these three drivers.
Indeed, is now into turn 7. This is the replay here that we're watching with the two of them. Oh, big move down to the inside for Crisp. Is there a little bit of contact? No, I think he just forced Wyness wide there, and Wyness off into the gravel, and that's going to allow both of those Alcantech NHR drivers on by. So can't imagine Wyness is too happy behind the wheel of that car, but a good move, it's got to be said, from Crisp.
It was obviously pushed out, Stuart Wyness quite wide into that corner, and gave the opportunity for Nikolai Thrain to have a little battle with his teammates. But we're watching here, Paul Collishaw here, coming around Canada corner, another victim there. Looked like he possibly hit the grass, but let's have a look and see what happens. So we see him here, coming down into Canada corner. Are we going to see a carbon copy where he takes the grass? No, literally just the back end of that car just went away from him.
Well, we've talked about a couple of times that Ferrari tends to chew up his tires a little bit, and I wonder if he's maybe been overdriving the car. We've got big chaos! Big chaos as that's Mike Paluch and Niels-Erik Isaacson around. Oh my goodness!
Wow, that is... and he returns to the pits there. That is absolutely disastrous. And I wonder if that was between himself and Kieran Smart, because he was in third place with Kieran Smart chasing. And if by magic here we find out, or did he do it on his own? Pretty much on his own here, coming down the Moran sweep here. This is very unusual. Did he just clip the grass? Oh no, it was incident in front of him, trying to avoid it, and literally, look at that, got absolutely poleaxed into there. And that was, I think that was one of the Audis there as well getting involved. I'm not sure who that was, but there was an Audi in the background just basically getting caught up exactly the same. So real controversy at the end here. Wow, what happened there?
Just massive miscommunication. Marcel Nürnberg there, and there you can see Isaacson getting hit out of the way. I think that may have been Christoph Regenwetter, and you can see that was Paluch, Mayak Paluch there in the Audi that just had to take avoiding action, and as a result, hard into the wall, and you can see that Audi on the bottom of your shot there crabbing away, so that is going to be massive, massive damage there to then a big late race shakeup here in this series with only about 50 seconds left to go. My goodness gracious.
I mean, that has absolutely changed that Pro Championship on its head. Isaacson picking up some extremely valuable points here today at Road America after an excellent race one. Was on for really good points again in race two. That has just changed the complexion there. Herbenu now will be in front of Isaacson, and that championship now has probably got away. But we see there Michael Palic just saying, do you know what, I'm going to nurse this car around, I'm not going to go into the pits. But that is one crabbing Audi car. I think we saw that in the last race as well.
Yeah, we did, and I've got to give credit here to Paluch of just trying to carry on and not let anything affect him here, as we do still have a little bit of a battle. This is going to be Behrens and Smart going down into turn 5. That's going to be Behrens trying to run it around the outside, carry that momentum, the best of his ability in that Mercedes. Smart and the BMW, though, going to hold on to the inside line as they crest up the hill, up into turn 6. Who's going to be able to get it done? Forced a little bit wide is Behrens, and Smart holds on to the position.
Yeah, Smart there, look, just wanting to get that last position on the podium. Behrens want to put it in there again for the Pro-Am driver, managed to get it. Oh, as we see a spin at the back there. That is that Deckens again involved in another instance? Wow. Up to turn 6. He was really pushing it through. I saw when he went through Canada Corner and made that passive move. He is passing people on very unorthodox part of the track as we look here. Coming out of turn 5, coming up into the treacherous turn 6. You really don't want to go side by side, and literally just clips the back end of the BMW, and the BMW manages to clip the back end of Deckens. So he's just had a terrible second race here, and that'll put him down the order certainly in that AM category.
Yes, it will, but none of that is of a concern here for Kjetil Larsen, who is going to climb up the hill, flash his headlights, and look to the start-finish line as Barney the Flagman waves the flag, and Kjetil Larsen takes victory here at Road America.
He does. Thomas Cope coming up for a very valued second place, and probably is his best position finish in this season. Not had the best of season, but finishing on a high air. Kieran Smart managing to take the last position on the podium with Jacob Behrens there. But certainly the story of that was the start of it was Herbenu getting involved, coming out of that last corner with Christian Engelhardt, causing absolute chaos. Roadblock up into the start-finish straight, which really put paid to his second. Isaacson was on for a really good points haul, but we just saw him there in the last 50 seconds of this race, coming down the Moran sweep, literally just getting it wrong with a spinning car in front of him, hitting the grass, losing control, and literally putting himself to the pit. So I think that championship, the Pro Championship grandstand we wanted for that last season, is a bit further back to Isaacson now.
Yes, it is. We'll have to do the math there as Russ Fowler crosses over the line to take home 21st position, waiting for Rance, Dadwell, and Isaacson to cross over. Isaacson will at least be able to get a couple of points there. No, he won't. Herbeno finished in 17th, and so that means that Isaacson will lose points here in this second race. But my goodness gracious, talk about drama here at the American National Park of Speed. There is Isaacson. That car thankfully looks relatively intact, so he's going to be able to bring it around, but my goodness, just a tough day for the 177.
I mean, that's got to be a hard pill to take. Obviously, fighting really hard. Currently, was in P3, and then all of a sudden, it just all goes away from him. You can see the Pro Championship race win possibly going away from him. It would have been a tall order anyway, with the lead that Herbinu does have, and the fact that if he's managed to keep it clean here, he won't have a pit lane start in the last round of the season. But I mean, his opportunity is sort of gone away from Isaacson, and he'll be a sore man in that car, I think, at the moment.
Yes, he will, and let's run you through the final finishing order here in that pro category. It was Larson from Cope, from Smart, Crisp, Wyness, and Glarum, with then Winkler, Paluch, and Danes. Christoph Herbino, the big story on the day, finishing in 10th place with Dadswell and Isaacson behind them. Isaacson having that problem there that sent him around. Grossman, Lang, Pencava, Fletcher, Sapini, and Claysons round out your 18-car pro standings. Back down in the Pro-Am category, Jacob Barron again able to take victory here over a hard-charging Nikolai Thrain, and then Thomas Jazz, the relative newcomer here for Delta V Racing, able to take podiums there in the Pro-Am category. Then it was Greg Hubler and Gavlin Gardner in the top 5, Martin Deckens in 6th, Paul Collishaw, Rance Sorensen, and then we get down into the drivers, including Sorensen, who finished a lap down, Scarrett, Regenwetter, and Boberg, who had a very, very rough day out there. In the AM category, it was Ballas Taruxoy, followed by David Gill and Dominic Smerrick, and Russ Fowler and Matt Sire, Gordon Haug, Marcel Nurnberg, Christian Engelhardt, and Sean Cranley-Schwa round out your field there on the day. We've got a couple of drivers here, though, waiting for an interview, and first and foremost, it's going to be your Pro-Am victor in the form of Jacob Behrens. And Jacob, looked like you were pretty much in the thick of things for both of those races, but talk me through what it was like out there.
It was very difficult today. I didn't get enough practice, and generally speaking, I'm not too good on this track. Didn't get comfortable with the car, and I had a major equipment malfunction, which from time to time will kill all my steering for about half a second.
Oh, that's not good, I would imagine, my friend. How do you deal with something like that? I mean, how did you kind of work through all of that and still maintain a win here in the Pro-Am category?
Well, I mean, the first race it only happened twice, so I mean, that was not too bad. Didn't cost me a lot, but in the second race, it happened 4 times. And I think like in the opening laps before I spun, I was just being careful, making sure that if the wheel cut out, I would at least have some chance of recovery. And then one lap I started to, get a bit comfortable, thinking that, okay, that's all right, I think it's fixed now. Went full throttle, and I think I pulled like 4 tenths on cope, and then into the right-hander after Canada, the wheel disconnected, and I skidded into the grass, which hurts.
I can imagine. Well, I think the good news on the day, looking at the point standings as we head into Mid-Ohio, I'm pretty certain you've pretty much been able to lock down this championship with Deckens having a good day. So what is your approach then to Mid-O, now knowing that you've pretty much got this done and dusted?
Well, nothing's for sure. Never is. I've lost championships by a point. So I'm just same prep, just get better as I can. Don't get taken out, but that's every race as well. And just try my hardest, try my best, and do everything for the great results.
Well, we wish you all the luck when you get there, Jacob. But on today, is there anybody you'd like to thank?
Shout out to RJ Coatings iRacing and Sander Trafiksole. They make this all possible for me, which is great, really. And it's more than great. And also shout out to the student union today, where I worked.
Well, fantastic, my friends. Congratulations on a victory here today, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, cheers. Bye.
All right, that was your Victor Jacob Behrens there in the Pro-Am category. And Andy, I believe you've caught up with our AM Victor Ballas Taruxoy.
Yeah, Ballas Taruxoy, welcome to the commentary box. I mean, what a great day out there for you, winning race 1 and then doing the double there in race number 2. Just talk us through, because you seem to be streaks ahead of the rest of the AM field in this round.
Yeah, I had a really solid feel for the car, I think, throughout practice, and then in the race, in quality, I saw that I was quite a bit ahead of second place. So I really tried to not fight anyone in race 1 to, make sure I finish in the first in the AM. And then in race 2, I think I just took, the opportunities in front of me. There was a bit of a crashes, and last lap there was a big crash on the straight. So I just took whatever opportunities I could in race 2.
Yeah, I mean, it was an outstanding day and probably the best round that you've had in this championship at the moment. Certainly won't mind your points that you get from this round over the rest of the AM field, and put you in good stead going into the last round at Mid-Ohio. Have you actually got very much experience around that track?
No, I don't own that track actually, so I'm not planning to race there. So I think this was the last round for me.
Oh, right. Well, I mean, it's a great round to finish on, getting your double podium for the championship, and certainly getting into the top 10 field, which is no mean feat for an AM driver to be able to do that. I mean, it just shows your pace that you've had around here today. Obviously, as this is your last round, I mean, what has been your take on the championship as a whole and the experience for yourself?
It was really, really great. This was my first proper league championship that I took part in, and I was a bit scared going into it because I've seen the level of drivers that are in the pro category, for example, and but yeah, it's been really good, really good, and the racing has been awesome throughout the field. So I really enjoyed this and would be back definitely for next season.
Yeah, I'm glad you enjoyed it. And any drivers out there who are thinking of joining the league, then obviously come and join there. You can see Traxoy there having a great run and then really enjoying it. Really clean racing, completely different to the standard iRacing you get. But before we let you go, Traxoy, is there anybody you'd like to give a shout out to?
I'm not sure about their names, but there was a yellow car that I battled with in race 2, and anyone around me was really, really clean and respected the clean racing. So I think everyone in that top 10, top 15 was really great to be on track with.
Definitely. Well, congratulations on your double AM victory here today at Road American. We look forward to seeing you in next season, whenever that is. So that was Traxoy there, winning both the AM races in first and second race. I mean, he certainly showed his pace here tonight, DJ.
Yeah, he certainly did. And we've got time for one more interview here, and that is going to be with our pro, Victor Kjetil Larsen. And looked like a pretty great run for you there in that second race. Looks like you really didn't have that much competition up at the front of the field.
Oh, I was lucky. I got a good start, and I had my teammate behind me that hung up cope a little bit, I think, and then when I got the gap, I could drive my own race and had a really good pace. So it went well.
Well, good. I'm glad to hear that you felt good about it. And I mean, talk to me a little bit about the struggles in the first race. It looked like you were really having to battle for everything.
Yeah, I struggled a little bit. I did some small adjustments on the setup that didn't work, so I struggled to get past. Did a few mistakes, and but I managed to get 8th place and pole position in race 2. So that worked out pretty good, and I adjust the setup a little bit, and I think I got the fastest lap as well. So it was good adjustments.
Good adjustments indeed. And as we look ahead here, going into the final round of the season, when we get into Mid-Ohio, I've got to ask you here, what are your goals? What are you focused on in that final round, and how do you think it's going to go?
Of course I want to win, but more of those there. So no, I'll practice, do my best, and try to do the best for the team as well. I think we are good in the team championship now. I'm not sure. I haven't done the math yet, but we have a good lead in the team championship. So we will do as best as we can and hope for a victory.
Well, we wish you all the luck there. But as for the victory today, is there anybody you want to thank?
Of course, we have so many on my team. We have our sponsors, IGL Coatings, Sanne Trafikkskole, and Lasse is a really good guy to have on setup. He's amazing to work on the setups for us. So yeah, and of course my family, you guys that make an awesome show. So that's it, I think.
Kjetil, congratulations on the win here today, and we'll see you next week.
Yeah, we'll see you next week. Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. And Andy, that's about going to wrap us up for our broadcast here today. But on behalf of myself, DJ Clark, as well as my co-commentator Andy Thompson and Jamie Fluke, it has been an absolute pleasure to bring you the racing action here today. Also want to give a big thanks to our sponsors of the Virtual Racing School, SDK Gaming, and Apex Racing Academy. We will be back for that race next time, same time next week at Mid-Ohio, the championship finale. And until we see you on the track, thanks for watching.